Experience eats strategy for breakfast. You've had your breakfast, so have I. But this is all about looking at how experience and culture may be a bit stronger than the strategy that we were talking about yesterday. Again, intrigued to hear what our first speaker really has to say on this topic. Please welcome, let me and you welcome the first speaker of the day, Head of Success Factors CE at SAP, Jakob. Kiblböck. Jakob.
Hello, very good morning.
Good morning. How are you feeling this morning?
Wonderful. Really thrilled to be here. Great to be at HR Weekend. Congratulations on a fantastic kickoff yesterday.
Well, that's lovely to hear. Listen, where are you right now? We would love to know. I would love to know. I'm really intrigued to know where everybody is.
I'm based out of Vienna in Austria.
Right. Okay, listen, Jakob, it's over to you. Again, those of you that are with us right now, you maybe have a question, or you're curious, or you'd like to challenge Jakob on what he's been sharing. Towards the end, if we have enough time, a question exchange. So pop in the chat your question, your comments, and we'll try to do that later on. Jakob, over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Peter. And again, a warm welcome and a wonderful morning to everybody. Let me go ahead and share the screen. And if you could just give me a sign that we're good to kick off. All right, that looks good. So again, wonderful morning to everybody. Really thrilled to be here on day 2 of HR Week. People-centric HR, right? And when it comes to people-centric HR, my core belief is that experience has is playing a major role. So in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm really grateful to share a couple of thoughts that we're having with regards to this X that you're seeing over here, this X in HXM. We're no longer speaking of HCM, we're speaking about human experience management. So the topic for today that we're going to touch on is experience eats strategy for breakfast. And while we all know strategy is absolutely key to everything that we're doing, we heard about that also in yesterday's sessions, how critical it is to measure, how critical it is to actually run through and get figures and facts actually to underline what you're doing. When it comes to the people in itself, our firm belief is that it's absolutely down to the experience. So happy to take you through a couple of thoughts that we're having there, sharing some things that we're doing at SAP ourselves, sharing a lot of things that we're actually seeing in the market. So without further ado, let's jump in. So Peter already touched on it, right? I'm sure you're all familiar, you're all aware of the wonderful quote with regards to culture eating strategy for breakfast. And there's a lot that is around to it, right? With regards to how we deal with it, the culture that defines so much in what we're doing. In today's world, I would argue that this is actually a step further and that it is down to the experience which eats strategy for breakfast. And what we mean by that is what I would like to share and lay out. And you know, if we can leave you with a couple of thoughts this morning, going into the day and motivated and pumped, then that is something really good to enhance your work that you're doing in HR and the joint work that we're all delivering in making and delivering better experiences to our people, and thus creating stronger and better organizations and driving business results, of course. So when it comes to experience, and I was thinking about that a bit, where do I myself actually get and experience the best and the strongest experiences that I had? And I want to share something as we get started here. I'm a huge fan of musicals, Broadway musicals, and all sorts of musicals. And why is that? I was wondering, and it is really down to the fact that when I sit down, when my wife and I actually sit down, we love musicals. We actually even keep in count. We're currently standing at close to 40 musicals that we have seen, the two of us together. When we sit down in musical and in the theaters, it is real experience that is delivered there. It takes us into a different world, and it leaves something that goes deeper than what we just see, what we listen to, and what we hear. And a key moment that I will remember for the rest of my life is when my wife and I were actually in New York, when we were on Broadway, and we went to see The Lion King. I'm sure some of you or many of you might be also musical lovers on the session today, but then also have seen The Lion King. And if you know it, this opening scene where you have this red, orange fireball of the sun rising up, you got all the animals entering. I remember us sitting there, 5th row, center of the theater on Broadway. It was simply overwhelming. It was tears in my eyes. It was real deep experience. Even now thinking of that somehow moves me and touches me. And the reason why I'm bringing that to you is that I would like to relate some of this experience back into our business and into our HR context. And that is that I would like every one of you that you're listening this morning to think about such a Lion King experience, such a moment, an experience that you had at your own company, or maybe even better, that you created and deliberately drafted for your coworkers, for your teams, for the entire organization, for the entire company. Because this is what can make and have a huge impact when it comes to your people, when it comes to the retention, when it comes to the attraction, when it comes to what each of us individually as employees or as people in leadership roles, as well as organizations as a whole. So I'm sure by now you have this one or other Lion King moment and experience in your head. And with this one in mind, let me take you into what I would like to share. And again, a couple of thoughts here. The vision that drives us at SAP, that drives us at SAP SuccessFactors, is all around putting people at the center of work. It is about the individuals and making sure we take care of their strengths and all the capabilities and bringing that to life so that we can create meaningful experiences for each and everyone as we go about. This vision is what we're bringing to life, and I think it couldn't be a better fit to People-Centric HR Day as we're having it today. And again, really grateful that we have the opportunity to kick off this day with these thoughts. And this notion of experience goes so far that our global president, Jill Popelka, global president of SAP SuccessFactors, actually just released a book this year, back I think it was May or June, so mid of year, where she was exactly describing the impact of experience and corporations that leverage that. So why companies that uncover their purpose, why companies that create connection and celebrate their people ultimately will triumph by attracting the best people, or generally attracting people into their organizations and making sure they really stay and give it their best and get the best out of it. And what I thought is that I'm going to share 3-4 of the key facts that Jill touched on in her book. The book is available. It's available on Amazon and all different platforms, as you can see. And well, if you get the taste for it, then either reach out to us directly, and we'll be happy to provide you with the one or the other copy, or just go ahead and get it yourself. So let's jump into it, and let's have a look with regards to what Jill has put together there. And it starts with exactly that the first and underlying success factor in creating employee experience is a sincere belief in the people in your organization, in the people in itself. And that's again a question I think that we should all ask ourselves, and that potentially you also want to ask to your senior leaders and peers. Is there a sincere belief in the individuals, in the people which you have in your organizations? And that these people are the right people, and that these people are the people that are giving it their best for the better of your organization. When it comes to SAP and when it comes to our team, I always love putting up this slide because it is all about looking into the people's eyes. I think that is where you see it. If you have people that their eyes are shining and that their eyes are sparkling, that is the team from us, from SAP, that we're active in the region, that we're working day in, day out, and making sure that we're driving, success of the organizations. And it doesn't stop there, because what we want to see is that we have created a model. Jeff Bergin was also referring to that. Or Josh Bergin was also referring to that just recently in an article, which is related to this whole self module, which is the key to creating people sustainability. Do we give our people, each and every one, the chance to bring their own identity, to bring their capabilities and live their strengths? Or are we putting people into roles and into boxes where we say, hey, you know what, deliver on that, but that's it, yeah? No, we want to take that so much more. So this sincere belief in the people is what drives and giving the chance for each and everyone to actually live their whole self. And what is more, we've taken that a step further, where we are connecting this whole self model in the context of enterprise with the opportunities that are there. We've created an opportunity marketplace where the opportunities where if you would have a gig, if you would have an opportunity for somebody, you would need somebody on a project, you can post it there, bring it out there, and people as they develop their own careers can actually apply for that, and there's a matching going on. I think a key aspect when it comes to people sustainability and driving sustainable people and talent development in your organizations that you can bring to life in this connection that is going on there between the whole self and the opportunity marketplace. And what we're doing as well is that we're connecting our environments. And that comes to the second point that I'd like to touch on from the book, where if we create environments for our people, where our people feel actually safe, where they feel belonging, they feel psychological safety and purpose, that can be a major differentiator as well. And that is essentially where I wanted to share a bit with regards to the culture that we're living. At SAP, we're having a so-called principle that is called how we run and how we lead at SAP. Now, I'm sure each and every organization has their values. So do we at SAP. This is something like the build bridges and not silos. Make sure we work together, right? Or if we are doing promises, that we actually keep them. One of my favorite ones on here actually being this notion of tell it like it is, meaning, you know, if we have issues, if there is topics, let's bring them on the table. Tell it like it is. Only then we can address it, and only then we can make the best and the better of it. So critical ones that actually drive all of the interactions as to how we run, and also from a leadership perspective, how we make sure that we unlock everybody's potential in the organization. And we're doing the same thing when it comes to the market. This is actually just a picture from Belgrade last week in Romania, where Irina, who's leading the team in the region there as well, was putting together a wonderful day where we want to make sure that our partners, our customers, together with us, we're connecting around the discussions and networking around the beautiful ideas of HR. And that's something that we're driving all throughout the region. I think essentially making sure that we put customers, making sure that we put partners and each and everyone's idea in the middle, give it some room, give it some space to discuss, makes such a huge difference with regards to the environments that we're all creating in HR. So second point right there around the criticality of creating such environments when it comes to the people itself. Third point to be taken from experience in cooperation is that there's a sincere belief as well that technology and data can provide a path to a more diverse and inclusive workforce as we go forward. And this is really where we believe that it is about creating an employee journey from the very beginning, from the moment that a candidate actually, so the experience that a candidate has in the interaction with your company, with our company, from the first touch point that they have, whether that is on social, whether that is in direct interaction with the hiring manager throughout an assessment center, or then as we go into the onboarding experience on day one, all the way throughout the employee life cycle, up to the point where maybe somebody at the end of the day either resigns, of course, but then or also decides to leave the organization again. And what we want to do is that we understand what is essentially going on here. We're using a beautiful piece of technology in combination with SuccessFactors that is called Qualtrics, where we gather this experience data and again connect it back into the core HR processes. Extremely powerful, for example, for you to really understand retention, or from a retention perspective as to why people leave, and not just run exit interviews, but really actually start to work with this data, start to aggregate that across the entire company and understand how we can make sure what can be done to prevent that from actually happening. Because we all know it's not just down to the pay, it is down actually so much more to the experience that the employees have in what they're doing in their day in, day out, in the interaction that they're having with the direct superiors, with senior leadership and so on, that makes the difference with regards to people, whether they stay or whether they leave. So technology has a place and a key place to be. We believe from an HR perspective, it is about creating end-to-end processes, end-to-end HXM, human experience management processes that start at the bottom by building a strong core HR along the entire talent management lifecycle. And then we also had it with Stefan Ries yesterday, big fan, big supporter of his. He did a fantastic job when he was at SAP, up to the data. Remember when he was saying data, facts, and figures, and using that, this is the language of the business world, by building that fundament and then all the way getting that up to the workforce data, working with the experience data as well. This is exactly how you can run that. And just to give you an example as to what we're doing at SAP, for example, we're running those regular hashtag unfilter surveys. We just had one now in October as well, along 3 key pillars actually. And those pillars would be employee engagement, right? On a score from 1 to 100, how engaged are people? And it's quite interesting, yeah, from a leadership perspective. If your team or you as a superior fall beneath a certain threshold, there's an automated HR process. HR reaches out to you, an HR business partner, and not finger pointing wise with regards to why are you better, like why are you worse than the SAP average or something, but really saying, okay, what's going on? Might there be something behind it? Do we read something from this data where employee engagement, for example, in your team only stands at 62, while SAP average is at, I don't know, 75? And then what can we do to close that gap? What's going on? Let's gather the team, tell it like it is, right? Put it on the table. Let's discuss it and see how we can get the entire team and everybody back on track to make sure that we keep the talents and that they're not shutting off. Or leadership trust, of course, also really critical, right? On a net promoter score from -100 to +100, how much trust is there in leadership? And another critical one that we have seen when it comes to the experience, the business health culture index. Are people actually running into an orange zone, into a red zone? Are they going beyond? And do we really need to be careful that they're not burning out, that we're not giving it too much, especially also still in those post-pandemic times that are kind of back to normal, but it's not really, it really isn't, right? Where there's a lot of chance actually to be done with that. So I thought I'd bring an example as to how we do that, how we run our listening strategies and implement that again back into the experience. All right, final one that I thought I would share from the book is with regards to passion. When it comes to experience and comes to creating experiences, it is all down to passion, and passion never fails. So if you go about designing that for yourself, whatever you do it with passion. We heard it from Stefan yesterday when he set up the transformation journey for HR at SAP. He developed HR Punk as a brand, right? With full passion, actually driving this into the organization and creating a lot of change actually on the back of that. So what I thought for the very end here is that I would leave you. And I will take it back to, again, my favorite passion as to what I'm doing, and that is The Greatest Showman and musical once again. And I'm not sure, Peter, whether we still have 2 or 3 minutes to run a video.
We've got about a minute or so. Keep going.
Yeah. Then what I would suggest is let's share that in the chat with everybody. It's a beautiful video that speaks to exactly what I've been saying to as well. Experience and passion make a huge difference. Again, I believe music has a big role to play in that, or can play a big role in that. And I would then leave it at this point, Peter, and hand it back to you and just say thank you for being able to deliver this, first kickoff to the day with regards to experience actually eating strategy for breakfast.
Listen, what a way to begin our second day, the start of the day here at HR Week 2022. Love the idea. You're absolutely right. The passion, passion attracts, doesn't it? Passion appeals, and everybody wants to listen and hear when somebody has passion. Regardless of whether they agree or not, it's actually something which really attracts, and that's something that was relevant when I was listening to that. Right, we have just one quick question that came through, something that's actually quite relevant, certainly in the chat and in the relevance of what we were talking about yesterday. Generations, different generations, and how things are relevant for them. So if I was to ask you, so for Generation Z, millennials, how does everything you were saying kind of fit in for them? What would you say?
Oh, it's probably more relevant and more critical probably more relevant and more critical than for any generation. Absolutely critical as to what they experience. Again, like I said, from the first touch point, but then also making sure that those promises and those things that are brought up are actually kept. So I believe also there, but not exclusively for Gen Z, but I believe for every generation, experience is a key differentiating factor if you get it right and design it right.
Listen, unfortunately, again, we could carry on this conversation throughout the day, I'm sure. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time for that. But again, if you're those of you that are with us right now, I'm sure you can reach out over LinkedIn to Jakob and take that conversation forward. I've just got 3 things to say to you now as we leave. Can you feel the love tonight? But that's the circle of life and Hakuna Matata. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
And hopefully we'll see you again. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, everyone.